Hey guys, this is Josh from Austin Underground. I'm here with David from Megadeth. How you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. Doing pretty excellent as well, just like you. So, latest album, Dystopia, was released earlier this year. What was the recording and songwriting process like for this album?
Took a couple of years, probably about a year for the writing, and then as we have talked about, there was this 30th anniversary, well, rest in peace anniversary actually that was talked about, and we explored that, and then that, pretty quickly we knew that wasn't going to happen, so we then moved into just really focusing on the recording of the record in Nashville, and Chris Adler had offered to record for us, and then that kind of set in motion a whole bunch of things, some internal management things that shifted quickly, and then we got Kiko in, and next thing you know, by March we were in the pre-production, and April we were recording, and so it's nice. We had quite a bit of time off the road to be focusing on just the making of this record. The past couple records, 13 and especially Super Collider, we came off the road and went right in and made the record. And I think it worked on 13. I think Super Collider, we had a lot of tour dates and things lined up behind it that wasn't quite as relaxed in the recording. This one was we didn't book any dates. We didn't have anything on the calendar until this record was done. And that was, we haven't been able to do that in a lot of years, so it's cool to be able to have that luxury.
Awesome. So, what was the idea and concept behind this album and its lyrics?
Well, Dystopia, the dystopian world, that of, sort of a hopeless future. The cover art reflects that. It's funny that, that lyric is that, kind of portrays that imagery, yet that track, the title track, is actually kind of an upbeat song. And, it's fun to play because it has this kind of really upbeat groove to it, but overall the entire record has the very dark, ominous feel that I think it's probably more reminiscent of maybe P-Cells.
So Chris Adler is being replaced on drums, replaced by Dirk. You guys announced it on y'all's Facebook. He won't be back until June 28th. So has that made any impact on y'all's live performances?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's not replaced. He has other commitments with Lamb of God. And in fact, the original idea was that he would come in and record the record. And we get along great. We're a great hang. And so we thought, well, let's try to keep Chris as much as we can, because especially now that he's played on the record, he's, really has he's kind of part of the DNA now of Megadeth, So we thought, let's try to keep him as much as we can, and it's worked out for the most part pretty seamlessly. This spring and into the early part of the summer is really where the conflicts were, because he had other shows with Lamb of God. So he had recommended Dirk. I think he'd actually recommended Dirk if he ever needed a replacement ever. Like if he fell down the steps and broke an arm, he'd call Dirk, to come out and play for him in any situation. I think Lamb of God or otherwise. So we're fortunate that Dirk was available and made the adjustments in his schedule to be able to come over here and join us. I mean, he's a world-class drummer, cool, super cool dude, great hang, and he's just got great energy. Yeah. So I think Chris and Dirk are, plus they're younger guys. They've kind of come from a younger generation of really aggressive drumming, and man, that's exactly what we need. I mean, that's what all of the Megadeth, music has had in it right from the very beginning.
And since Dirk joined, has he been pretty great for you guys so far? Has he learned everything pretty fast? How's that been?
I mean, he showed up. He did his homework. I mean, he showed up, and he even had charts written. I mean, so he's obviously an educated, skilled musician. And he did his homework. He showed up. We did one rehearsal, and was like, okay, we're ready. And that's cool. It gave us good confidence to know we could walk out onto these big stages like today here in San Antonio, and he's dialed.
Yeah, awesome. So you have your own production company, EMP Label Group. Mm-hmm. So how have things been going for that so far?
Great. It's really been good. People have been asking me for years to form a label, put records out, manage bands, and I quite honestly I haven't really had much interest in it because I know how tough it is on that side of the business. And for the most of my career, I've been on this side of the stage as a bass player and a performer and a recording artist, and I've had quite a few record deals, and obviously Megadeth is my home. But around that, especially more in recent years, it's kind of become part of our business, where artists tend to have maybe a few other things out there that we all get invited to participate in. But in some ways the label and the management stuff is it kind of keeps my life a little more compartmentalized, where I can really keep my focus publicly being in Megadeth, and then behind the scenes I can do some of the other business stuff with the label, and I have one artist that I manage, these girls Dalskin, out of Phoenix, and so they're on tour with their record out, and I'm able to do those kind of things behind the stage, so it doesn't become a conflict because obviously Megadeth, we're in full stride right now, so I like to really kind of keep the focus on that publicly, what I'm doing on the stage.
Yeah. So is it hard to maintain your label group and doing everything for Megadeth, such as like recording? You just came out with an album. How's
well, these things right here, right? The iPhone is the saving grace, because these things can be a double-edged sword too, because sometimes they bring your entire world right here, and sometimes you don't want everything right here. You need to have some space, and I think that's probably the main thing is when we're locked into our Megadeth world, I like to keep some things away from me because I want to be creative and be a musician, Yet, it's kind of in my nature to, want to be looking out. I guess I was probably the guy that kind of always wanted to understand record deals and contracts and know how the business worked. And my dad was a businessman, ran our farm, our family farm, and so he always instilled in me to, know what's going on, don't sign contracts without understanding what's in them, and, just, fatherly advice for sure, but also good business acumen, So, I think that's kind of a good role that I've been able to have in Megadeth too, is I tend to be analytical, I tend to ask questions, if you don't understand something, ask a question. The only dumb question is the one you didn't ask, and then you find out after the fact you should have asked the question, so it's better to ask the question. And I can encourage artists to do that. I think sometimes the label and management stuff that I do is really more, it's kind of mentorship is how I look at it, I have a team who runs the label, and the others, even the production and that, a lot of it is mentoring people, teaching them how to do it, because everybody thinks you just show up and you walk on stage and you're a rock star, and it's like, it's not like that. It doesn't work like that, and there's a lot of work, and as it was once said, if it were easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah. So the process when bands submit their music to your label group, how does that work? Like, do you hear every submission or just a select few?
Well, there's a team of us, because it can't just be based on personal preference. There's some things that I've liked that just didn't make sense. There's some things that I didn't get that, when presented to me by the team, totally made sense, because, when you have a label, it's just like here at the show, the bands that are on those stages are there because they sell tickets, and they're popular, and they bring people in, and it becomes an attractive event for the public, and it's the same thing with records. It's record labels have always signed artists that sell tickets, potentially sell records, because record companies in the business are doing one thing, selling records. And one thing that's become, I understand it, I don't do it myself, but they wrap in what they call these 360 deals, where they kind of try to grab a piece of the artist's name, their merchandising, their publishing, their album. They try to kind of grab a piece of it, and I get it, because record companies put up a lot of money, and like the bank, they're the ones that take all the chance. Like if you ever bought a house, you'll know that on a 30-year mortgage, you will pay double for that house over 30 years. If you buy a house for $100,000, you're going to end up paying $200,000 for that house if you let that loan go for $200,000. And the bank makes their money because they're the ones that loaned you the money and took the chance that you're actually going to pay it back. And record deals are no different. Record companies put up money, and You know, then they want to try to get a little piece of that. You know, a lot of us, we got lucky years ago, you know, where we got signed to these big record companies, and we put our albums out, and our bands got very popular. And now all these years later, we're long out of those deals, and they kind of helped us build our name, and we get to keep all of that, you know, to have it. So we were lucky. We got in under the wire on that whole thing.
Awesome. So one last question. So there was recent news about limited edition Dave Mustaine for President T-shirts and Make Metal Great Again hats. So how did that idea come about? Whose idea was it?
Well, the Make Metal Great hats, I think a fan brought those to us in Baltimore, I believe. I think it was in Baltimore, and we played at the Fillmore last month. And you know, fans have been saying for a long time, you know, Dave Mustaine for president, you know. So you know, it's fun, you know, and I think Dave is, you know, he has fun with it. You know, he has his own kind of whimsical, funny answers to some of that kind of stuff, you know, and doesn't probably take it too seriously. But you know, yet at the same time, you know, I mean, you look at what's going on around and the people that you know end up run for president, or it's you know, hey, why not have a rock star do it? You know, I mean, you know. You look at some of the things that are being said, it's like Dave's bold and he's funny and he speaks his mind, and kind of like some other candidates that we know right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we thank you for taking time here to talk to us at River City Rockfest, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your tour and enjoy the show.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.